Hello, hello, hello.
Well,
Hi,
hello.
everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Specialty.Run podcast. I'm Derek Wilkie, joined as always by my co-host Rob Anderson. How you doing?
Hello, everyone. I'm doing very well. We should call it specialty dot late because
Right.
inevitably I make us late every time. Sorry.
Well, we're here, and that's what matters. For those of you that are not familiar, this is a running industry podcast where we help run specialty retailers adapt to the trends, tools, and tech shaping the future of retail. Man, time flies. I don't know how it happened, but it's already 2025. It's Christmas almost.
Oh my! I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
Like it just turned 2025.
I
January 1st was literally yesterday.
I can't believe it. And it's when we were talking earlier, and we're like, oh, the running event is in a couple of weeks. A, that's insane, and then
We were
B,
just there.
I mean, I got to get some Christmas shopping done, like now.
My,
Hopefully
my wife
nobody.
tells me we should start that in July, but I haven't jumped on that bandwagon yet.
What's funny is there is, and when I was doing some research for this episode, I saw a statistic. Let me see if I wrote it down. Somewhere, people started in the July-ish time frame. Uh, yeah, 4 to 5 months in advance. So yeah,
That's the smart way to do it.
multiple surveys from Gartner to FedEx and the NRF show 75+% of shoppers target September or October for early promo events. Black Friday is now just the loudest day in the middle of a 4 to 5 month campaign.
That's crazy.
Wow.
See, that's why we're talking about today's episode because the
For real.
holidays are here.
For
And
real.
honestly, if you're in run specialty, I think you can already feel it. The I don't know, energy, the chaos, the pressure to sometimes keep up with the flood of discounts that I'm sure that are hitting customers' inboxes.
Yep.
Um, it's that time of year where shopping, the shoppers are emotional, the race calendars are wrapping up. Everyone's trying to find that perfect gift for the runner in their life right now. And I think we're we're humans, you know. We wait to the last minute and try to find that the best deal. And I think that um, in the middle of all that, it's easy to lose focus on kind of what makes this channel great, right? Like this
It
industry
is.
great. And so this episode is about flipping that script, about how to crush the holidays without crushing your margins. Because while everyone else is racing to the bottom, you can win through service, story, and connection. And I truly believe that that is, I think, those three things: service, story, and connection. We talked about it I think it was the first podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So today, that's what we're breaking down. What's really happening across the industry and the advantage specialty stores already have, and then a few plays that we can pass along so that they can, take to finishing the year as strongly as possible. I think is the best way to say it. So
Yeah, and I mean it is it's a scramble time, and for a lot of stores it's a scary time. I know, 2025 has had 2017 vibes for some of our retailers, and they're not sure if this holiday season's going to be boom or bust,
yeah,
or somewhere in between. And so the pressure is on, and that never makes things fun and exciting. Um, and of course, with the technology aspect making things more complicated, the question of where do I put my focus and energy, and the focus and energy of the 35 full-time employees that I have dedicated to each one of these tasks. LOL,
right.
JK. uh, in making sure that I get as much a return on my investment as possible, and keep the name as well supported as possible. Um, back to timing. I think one of the most important things that we can discuss regarding timing is that 56, I think, 56? Yeah, 56% of holiday spend is projected to take place on mobile devices in 2025. And I think when it comes to the runner in your life, or you or whoever it is, the Run Specialty purchase, when retailers are thinking about, how and what can I package to really land solidly for the buyer, I think there are a few really key things to consider that are unusual, maybe things that you haven't thought about in the past. The first is that there's a really good chance that you're going to have the opportunity to expose your brand to someone who, under any other circumstances, you may never have the opportunity to expose your brand to. In other words, the recipient of this gift may be somebody who might be completely out of the blast radius of any messaging that you would put out there normally. And what do you want that message to be? The second is, and Derek teased this to some degree, what value do we want as retailers to project? Race to the bottom as far as pricing is concerned probably isn't the one that we want to project. Obviously, price is part of the equation, but projecting the value of expertise and being a trustworthy advisor and a partner and a source of community, all of those things, how you position yourself and how you present gifts, gift baskets, messaging, etc., can focus on that stuff and really give you the opportunity to expand into a group of potential customers that could be lifetime customers that you may never have touched previously. Derek, can you still hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you just fine.
Okay, cool. I had a buzzing sound going on over here, and I was like, oh no, what's going on? I can't hear anything. I think that takes us to the other piece, and that is when you think about why somebody would shop with you. Obviously, product availability and low or as little effort as possible is very important. I mean, there are some circumstances where it's going to be, do you have the Ghost 17 that I want? But most of the time it's going to be something about the locality, the brand. Derek, you and I were talking about this. One of my favorite things to do at Christmas time, and this isn't only because I'm not super creative, but also because it really lands so well with friends and family, and that is I'll buy hats, t-shirts, etc. from some of our retailers. I work for the Run Free Project. We have hundreds of Run Specialty stores across the U.S., Canada, and the Bahamas, and there's some super dope brands and logos, and any kid or really anybody would love to be walking around repping a really cool local brand from a really cool town, or even a town that may not be so cool if you really don't love where you live. But that's an entirely different conversation in and of itself. And so remembering the you that brings the value, I think is a really huge deal.
100%.
Derek, what do you think from the conversations that you've been having with retailers so far? where is everybody's head when it comes to discounts and that sort of thing? Because it can be all over the place. I'm curious what you've seen.
See, it's funny because in previous seasons, I would have said I would be right now prepping for exactly that, helping retailers set up their promotions and their discounts and their coupons. Um, Honestly, it's a very different feeling coming in the 2025 season because it doesn't feel like that's how the promotions are leaning, if that makes any sense. Like it isn't price focused. Like there's a lot of promotions that I'm hearing from customer or from retailers that are like more on the creative side and less just, about making the price as low as possible.
Yeah.
And, different things where they're like experimenting with like gift card combinations and trying to provide, I guess, more value
Yep.
instead of trying to discount the price, which I don't know, in my opinion, I think is a smart way to go. Anyway, I think price is just as much part of brand as anything else, and um, you kind of set the tone with what your customers can expect. And so if they can expect that consistent quality and service and community, they're going to be okay paying a little more for more value. Um, but it's weird because like right now I would be, if it was last year, the year before that, I would be like in a war room essentially, just ready to go to war with, you know, whoever my retail partner for the day was. It was just like hammering setting up coupon codes and.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean it's been pretty quiet on that front because um, I think that the shift kind of is on adding that value right now.
Yeah. I mean, I'm seeing the same thing. I'm also seeing a shift more towards focusing on the post Black Friday weekend and the following Monday,
Yes.
rather than Black Friday itself. I think this probably speaks more to my age than anything else. If you talk to the Gen Z and even some of the younger millennials, Black Friday as a concept isn't really something that they pay a great deal of attention to. Not, I mean, there's not a lot
Mhm.
of standing in line for Black Friday deals anymore. That is something for an entirely different generation in an entirely different alternate universe these days.
100%. Well, I mean, it makes sense when you think about it, right? I mean, in God darn it, I'm going to sound so old too. In our day, really? Are we already saying this
I
now?
know, right?
Back in my day,
Yeah,
we had the one day. We didn't have Cyber Monday.
that's right.
We didn't, and we didn't. What is this new thing? Something Friday, and now some Small Business Saturday, which I love that, by the way.
Yeah,
So now it's more like it's transitioned from a Black Friday event where you didn't have an alternative to where now you have literally Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, whatever Sunday has become, and then Cyber Monday. It's a 4-day sale event, if you will,
yeah,
where people don't have to just jump on the one day. They can spread their time. They can, and I don't know. I like it because I feel like it's less pressure off the retailers
yeah,
for one event, right? And maybe it makes it a little more complicated because if you're going to focus branding on each one, that might be a little. But if you focus it as just the weekend as a whole, and just plan to make that whole weekend a really good sales weekend, I think it kind of, it's funnily enough adds to that community that we talk about in this industry anyway.
yeah. I totally agree. And it also you're doing less competing with other interests. I mean, when it was just Black Friday, it was, here's your list of retailers that mom is going to force us to hit at 4 a.m. and by 9:30 a.m. you feel like you've been in 3 different war zones, and if you wanted to go anywhere else after that, best of luck to you.
I did it one time as a young adult, and man,
And that was
I
one time enough.
that was it for me. Here in Boise, Idaho, we have at the time was a much smaller town, and we have one mall, So the mall was essentially the place to be. So I don't know what we thought we were doing, but we went to the mall at midnight and well, we
Oh
got there
yeah.
like half hour early. Should have got there at like 6 in the morning because the line was literally wrapped around the entire mall like 3 times, all the way out to the street. So just to get in, you waited 2 hours. So you didn't even get in the store until it was like one. It was wild.
Oh, that's absolutely brutal. And at the end of the day, you look back on it and you go, what a waste of energy and anxiety. It was kind of like DEF CON, which the hacking conference in Vegas. You go and the first day is just standing in lines, and I spent the first day standing in line, only to get to the front of the line and realized that since I had registered online, I didn't have to stand in line at all the entire day. And I feel like that is such a metaphor for standing in line at Black Friday from the old days. And
Oh,
I have to
100%.
ask, where I just went on camera is to grab the phone because I gotta ask our buddy, hey Kingston, I got a question for you.
Hey, my general, always happy to help out. Fire away with your question and we'll sort it out Jamaican style.
Well, that's interesting. What is the name of the Sunday that comes after Small Business Saturday and before Cyber Monday?
You're talking about that little sweet spot in the shopping calendar, my friend. We're calling that one Sofa Sunday in between all the hustle, where folks are just relaxing on their couches, maybe browsing deals online before Cyber Monday hits. So that's the name you're looking for? Sofa Sunday.
Sofa Sunday.
That's hilariously awesome.
Now, I kind of feel like that is a BS answer from our friend Kingston. I also feel like maybe one of the kids has been messing with Kingston's voice because I did catch a little Caribbean vibe there for a hot second, but it did switch back to the old Jarvis voice. But nonetheless, Sofa Sunday is what we'll call it, and that, not to go off on a tangent here, but to go off on a tangent, that really does underline another thing that we want to talk about a lot because we are a podcast about tech. There is so much that happens in the online space from a gift giving perspective when it comes to shopping. And what I mean is like browsing. And so when you're thinking about when you're thinking about addressing your customers, drawing somebody in to make a purchase, you're not only selling to the end user, but you're also trying to draw in the purchaser of the product or products or service. And so creating, the top 10 holiday essentials guide, or, having a gift basket or gift box, or even a subscription, like a subscription box for, the spring season or something along those lines that are focused on a specific kind of runner. So maybe that is, the varsity track subscription essentials subscription box, and that focuses on spring of 2026. Or it could be the Couch to 5K turbocharge kit, something like that. People eat that stuff up, or it can be the sale of something that is more personalized that you don't really consider super personalized. So, for example, selling a forgot the word, appointment. Thank you very much. Selling an appointment time for a fitting and a shoe purchase after the fact. So, having this sort of white glove concept delivered to the end user so that they have the opportunity to feel what it is to, see the entire value of what you bring, not just get a brand new pair of shoes. It's, click here, pick whatever time is most convenient for you on this Saturday afternoon, and grandma and grandpa and I will take you to Charlotte Running Company, and you'll have a fitting and go through the whole rigmarole, and you'll end up with the shoes that you want. Or trainings. There's all kinds of different ways to kind of aim the shopper as well as the buyer. And I think that that's such an important aspect when you're thinking about packaging things, and the role of online during the holiday season.
Yep.
With you've got the 12 days of Christmas and all this kind of stuff. We had a couple of stores have done some really interesting things. We've had some stores that tie loyalty points and event participation together between the holidays. So basically after Thanksgiving and before the new year, if you participate in a specific string of events, then there is essentially a big party for those participants once the new year rolls around. And publishing, and I always like this from the individual employees, publishing Derek's top five Hanukkah have-to-haves, right, for 2025, because the opinion of the retailer and the people that are on the ground is so unbelievably important to the buyer, but also so unbelievably important to the shopper. So much more so, because think about it. If your grandmother is shopping for you as an avid runner, what are the chances that grandma is going to nail it when it comes to getting you the right piece of gear or whatever it is that you're looking for? Probably pretty slim. But if grandma goes to, your local running store and engages somebody and says, hey, here's who I'm dealing with, and they give them, here's the 5 things that I found have been absolutely amazing, and everybody that, I always use track just because my kid runs track, but everybody who's starting varsity track this spring has been really looking at the Theragun and these other 3 things. Make sure you grab this stuff and sign them up for this training series coming up at the beginning of February as well, to make sure that everything's nice and warm and ready to rock and roll. Guiding that shopper, knowing that the buyer ultimately may not be part of that process.
That's a good point.
Do you see, I feel like I used to see this more, and I'm seeing it less now, and I'm wondering if your experience is the same. I was always very, I don't want to say amused. I was always kind of blown away by the complexity of holiday discounts that would be offered from stores. And what I mean by that is stores would offer a highly complicated discount structure to over a very short period of time, or somehow related to that period of time, as a draw. And then at the beginning of January, returns would start coming in, and because of that highly complicated discount structure, processing return, and I'm not talking about online, I mean overall, in-store, online, everything, processing those returns and making sure that everything is accounted for properly, and just overall making sure that you're not leaking cash from every corner is a massive challenge. But there is this desire to do really super complicated discount structures.
Yeah.
Have you seen that? What's your opinion on that front?
Um, it was I had to like I almost belly laughed. I had to like not belly laugh because that source of trauma is real because it's the whole reason I say that I have war rooms for promotions because it I don't know what happened, but it was like the pandemic sparked this need for creativity to be in a place that doesn't necessarily need to be creative. Like your creativity can be in other places, but the structure of your discounts should be simple for the systems that you're operating.
Yeah.
And if those if those and in your brain it could sound great. I have great ideas all the time, but if the technology you're using doesn't promote a good customer experience, it's just not a good idea to make it more complicated than it needs to be. And I think that is a separate point. It doesn't have to be more complicated than it needs to be,
Yeah.
right? Like your buy threes get ones, you know, even to the point where like in certain scenarios, like the gift card creation was one where I used to think was like, why? But as I started to learn more about gift cards and how valuable that is during the holiday season, given I mean, just given how the value added as to you, not just to your customer. Um, the ones that I like to see are those kind where it's like you buy X amount of dollars of a gift card and then it automatically gives you a bonus card or something.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of ones that like they're simple, they make sense. Most of the systems can just toggle on a setting for something like that. And yeah, I've seen complicated ones that just sound complicated, but once they've been in practice, they seem to be okay. I can totally see what that person was seeing now, right? Um, but I think those obvious complicated ones where your system has to calculate a bunch of different things because there's tax and the discount and multiple line items and maybe gift cards and maybe a gift card was used as tender and only covered portions, so now you're refunding cards and I just made myself exhausted explaining that.
It is and it's funny because I just got a comment in. Apparently, the source of the ultra complicated discount concept originated in the brick and mortar days, where it was almost like a puzzle. If you were able to essentially piece together these ultra complicated discounts, you would then be able to unlock this extremely cool and amazing savings. And it was that puzzle that was kind of part of the draw, or seen as part of the draw for the sale going on that day at the store.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I could see that. But I feel like maybe that's one that could be retired.
For sure.
But I will say, the bonus gift card thing is definitely a cool one, and of course, I don't think it's a secret that both of us are Run Free Project folk, and we have the bonus gift card feature in beta testing right now. That is super dope. We're getting ready to drop it. We're going to walk you through on our bonus episode next week. We'll walk you through some of the details and our final holiday episode where we talk about enacting some of the concepts that we're blabbering about today and surviving the holiday season from an execution perspective. We'll show you some of the cool stuff there too, but being able to take a gift card and buy it online and give it to somebody, email, print it out, have it, have a physical card, whatever it is, and have them be able to use it online or in store without having to go through some kind of, magical process or the other way around is super valuable. Now being able to do some of the really cool tricks that are going to be part of that feature release. It's going to be,
it's exciting.
It is exciting. Not to be a horn tutor of of the brand or anything, but it really is a super cool setup that's coming out here in the next couple of weeks.
No, I think it's a good mention because, and I'm gonna name drop, but my good buddy Bob over at Runner's Niche, he kind of turned me onto that promotion a few years ago, and it was like kind of the. I have a handful of retailers I've got to reach out to and let them, know that this is dropping once it does drop, because
Yep.
there are people who are itching for something like this. But I think it was a good mention because it's actually one of the things that I have to meet with a handful of retailers about, where we were in the past doing it differently and there was a manual function to it. So automating that process, I think, is going to not only help the retailers that are already wanting to do that, but I think it'll give new options to retailers who haven't run that promotion before.
Yep, for sure. And it's easy enough, and it's automated. Ah, nothing better than
Right.
automated.
Better than automated.
It's amazing. Speaking of automated, one of the other trends that, personally, I think is going to end up blowing up in everybody's face down the line at some point in time, but it is very much a thing, and it is very, very hot, is buy now, pay later. And you're going to see, paying for whatever it is between Afterpay and Klarna and all the others. There's lots of offerings, but ultimately it is the same concept. Basically, the shopper goes and picks out whatever they want to. They go to the payment area and they say, I want to do a, buy now, pay later situation. And it sends you, the retailer, the payment today. And then the buy now, pay later company, Klarna, Afterpay, whoever it is, and the person who's making the purchase now deal with one another. And they make 4 separate payments to that payment provider, and the payment provider charges you, the retailer, a little bit more for the right to have that as an option. So I think, with Afterpay, last time I checked, it was like a 6%. So, kind of steep, but also if you can push GPS watches as gifts between, college kids, thanks to buy now, pay later, where in the past that wouldn't have been an option, then, 6%, hey, that's not so bad. But I think you will see a ton of the buy now, pay later stuff going on, and making sure that that's, toggled on and available. Oops, I always scoot the wrong way. There we go. Toggled on and available, and even touted as an option is huge, because people really are looking for that stuff, and they will make their buying decision on whether or not that's something that's available.
That's a good call out, because I think your final point there was the most important. Like, it wasn't a thing that was like hugely in the forefront, 5 years ago. And in fact, when that first came out as a payment option, I kind of thumbed my nose at it. Like, why would I pay something $40 a week when I can just pay it $28 now and call it a day? But as it becomes more popular, I think that's a really good point. It is something that consumers are looking for as an applicable payment option.
Mm-hmm.
And again, shameless plug, it's one of the things that we can kind of tout at Run Free, where the retailers, depending on their merchant processor, would have those payment options.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
Definitely. It definitely is. And the the buy online, pick up in store stuff is obviously huge for many different reasons. And I think this, and it kind of depends on what you're selling and how, but the idea of, and this is also going to age me, but selling the sizzle, finding a way to package what you're selling so that whoever is the recipient of the gift can go through the experience of dealing with your running store, your staff, your community, whatever it is, whether that's through a fitting or whatever else, like finding a way to package your solutions so that that is a path, that is an option, is such a great way to create a lifetime customer,
100%.
and reach a potential lifetime customer that under any other circumstances you may not have access to. And there's so many like really easy ways to do that, from just packaged products, like Derek's stocking stuffer on the go. If you got 10 minutes and you got to grab stocking stuffers before the end of the day today, this is what Derek tells you should, here's a, little boy's stocking, here's little girl stocking, here's one for the dog, one for the cat, and one for grandpa, whatever it is. I'm making up random stuff. And
For those of you that don't know, Rob is a huge fan of staff collections when it comes to holiday promotion.
Can you tell?
So.
I really am. Because I truly believe that the shopper, whether that shopper is the end buyer and user of the products and services, or whether it's someone shopping for somebody else, I truly believe that the value they get from suggestions from you and your staff, well-informed suggestions from you and your staff, is so great. And I think they walk away with a sense of trust that is hard to develop and establish in today's landscape, and is a
100%.
huge draw.
100%.
Oftentimes they're drawn to new products or new brands that they never would have tried in a million years had it not been because of the suggestion of, a trustworthy person that works, right in the thick of it. It's funny because Steve DeMoss and I from Big Peach are doing the I'm trying to see what day it is. Oh my gosh, that's 2022. What did I just press? Let's see if I can find it real quick. Well, I can't. Next time on the podcast, I'll give you an exact time. But Steve and I are doing a talk about AI this year at the running event in San Antone, and it is at 3:45 p.m. on a day. one of the days.
I'm so excited for that day.
And of which I cannot remember, but we will be sure to let you know. And one of the things that Steve is going to show that is so impressive is, and one of the things we're going to discuss is, when you have retail staff, everybody that comes into the store to make a purchase, shop, etc., is expecting to have a conversation with a seasoned veteran in the run specialty space. And the reality is that doesn't always happen. They may be running into somebody and this is their very first day on the job, or someone in between, right? Like this, staff turnover is a real thing. Maybe you've got somebody part-time that may not be as connected to the pulse of the industry as your, store manager who's been there for 14 years. The shoe, I think it's shoe guru, footwear guru. Good grief, what is wrong with me today? I'm losing my mind. But Steve has essentially created an AI assistant that, for Big Peach, helps level the playing field from a knowledge base and just overall product knowledge perspective for the people on the floor. So you can have somebody with a great deal of enthusiasm for running and walking, who may not necessarily know as much about the products in depth as the manager that's been on the floor for 13 seasons, but they have access to Footwear Guru now, so they can ask a couple of quick questions and they're able to compare side by side different things and inform the back end of the trusted advisor conversation that they're having with the shopper. In a roundabout way, we're going to be talking about how AI can help boost that trusted advisor look and feel to every single person that's quote unquote behind the counter at
Right.
the store in those conversations. So stay tuned at 3:45 p.m. on a day.
I love it so much.
I'm
'cause
surprised I didn't zoom in on my eyeball when I did those air quotes. So,
I know.
everything's coming up, Millhouse.
That's so funny to me. No, I think that is a great place to end the first segment and kind of segue into, I guess, the next portion of this conversation that we wanted to talk about, where we wanted to highlight maybe 3 different areas and I'm surprised that I didn't zoom in on myself just there too.
Me too.
But we called
impressive.
out the three, what I, in my mind, coined as the 3 pillars that are important.
Yep.
Obviously, there's more pieces to everything that are important too, but we wanted to specifically have some talking points on the online space specifically. We wanted to have some talking points on in-store and then some talking points on community. And I think you kind of hit the nail on the head with the trust portion of it, because I think we talked about this before the podcast went live, where like that trust layer really is kind of what you're promoting over the majority. Yeah, price matters and everything else that we've talked about matters, but if that trust doesn't exist, those customers don't buy online. They don't even buy online, pick up in store. They go to whoever instilled that trust level. So as we kind of like, let's do play one. Let's talk about online and ways to make it effortless from that perspective. So what are some of the things that we could do for the online side of it that would essentially help sow that trust in whatever is the goal?
For sure. I think I'm a big removing friction guy when it comes to online. And if we're trying to simplify this into kind of a tactical, here's your top plays to master this, I think tactic numero uno for the online space is to create a holiday gift guide that is the king of holiday gift guides for your brand and store. In other words, this is the Wilkie Running Company Holiday Gift Guide 2025, and it features however many, 25 of the top products. Here's why we've focused on these things, and then you can do featurettes and or offshoots of that, but you can always go back to that holiday gift guide as an anchor for your holiday time outreach. That nails the trust factor. It exposes people to the community. It curates. It sounds crazy when I say this, but the numbers don't lie. For some reason, the less choice people have, they tend to make faster buying decisions. The more
100%.
options that you give people, the less likely they are to actually click and buy something, which doesn't seem like that would be the case. But it is
counterintuitive.
exactly. But it is so statistically, it never fails. So having that, the other piece is to be very clear, both from a categorization perspective and from an expectation setting perspective.
Yes.
So when you're saying, because remember, a lot of the people who are going to be shopping with you during this time are people who don't typically shop in or with run specialty retailers, and running stores already have the that which we do not speak of, which is the scariness factor, where some people are just intimidated by running stores. You're going to get that intimidation more from holiday shoppers than at any other time of year because it's not your standard shopper. So being super clear with how you categorize things and where you point people. For example, the top gifts for runners, for your teenage runner, or the best running gear under $50. Something that it doesn't require any pre-knowledge of running the industry, the space, anything like that to engage. It's very straightforward and simple to understand. The easier and clearer, the better.
100%.
And then the setting of the expectations thing. So, and this is especially true when it comes to things like shipping. When you tell folks, if you order it by this date, you can get it. It'll be at your door before Christmas, barring any unforeseen circumstances. And obviously, using Christmas as a placeholder, any of your holidays are totally cool. But giving folks a little bit of a heads up, if you're worried that it's going to miss the date, you can always come pick it up from us in store. If you're in town, we can drop it by. I mean, there's a lot of stores that do, delivery in town. I know Millennium Running, at least during COVID, maybe not anymore. I hope I'm not false advertising, but he would drop purchases off around town in the van at the end of the day, and setting those expectations so that people know, okay, I need to make these decisions by this point in time, or this sale ends on this date, so on and so forth. Okay, I'll shut up. How about you? Do you think I missed anything with my nonsensical rambles?
No, that was great. And the only one that I specifically was hoping that you were going to say was the setting expectation one. That one I think is so insanely huge, and it all ties back into that trust, because as they're going through the customer flow, and your customers are experiencing what they're experiencing, you don't want to ruin that experience at the end simply because we get it. Excuse me. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
Sorry, I was coming off of a cold from over the weekend, and
That's okay.
It's stuck with me. But it's you don't want to have this amazing customer experience that you worked really hard to curate for your customers just for it to be, ruined when a shipping event that just a simple expectation could have been set that, there is high demand or whatever the scenario. Because I think that's a good rule that falls out of just any time, but especially during the holidays when we know shipping is going to be hectic. There's going to be a lot of packages. Maybe it's short notice. I think there's a specific call out on my notes that was like order by a specific date to like ensure delivery. I think that's a really great one, just because you're not committing to anything, but you're informing your customers, hey, if you want to order it by this date, we'll do our part. And then, the execution is just as important, but I feel like, I think our industry executes. So
that they do, for sure. I
think it's a really great place for the online side of it. Let's talk in store first before we talk community. Then, when it comes to the same experience in store, where do you feel like the difference lies there, and maybe like kind of in your opinion what that looks like versus what the experience would have looked like online?
So the in-store experience is where our retailers shine. That is a much more natural space to show off the subjective community trust aspect of the brand, and decorating sights and smells, etc., in the store to look and feel like the holidays, whatever those holidays are. I think is very important. Obviously every store is different, and your markets are different. Adjust as desired. Your customers better than we ever could, but people remember experiences, and ultimately, yes, Run Specialty is an experience. The fitting process, the community, the suggestions, all of it is experience. I think that in store, it's some of the things that are really easy to bundle together online are a little bit harder to bundle together in store, but are also just as useful if you're able to pull it off. So, like the staff picks for trail running in the winter, like, boom, here's a gift basket, and there's a look, feel, tangible component to it.
Yeah.
I think that the holiday-esque feel and engagement from the people in the store, the people at your events, and whatever it is that feels like a tiny little bit of extra effort makes it kind of feel like that Hallmark holiday movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it's helping somebody like carry boxes out to their car. I'm making it up for effect, but
100%.
That experience, again, driving that trust.
It's on my notes, and I think it's a great way to say it. Is shoppers remember energy, not discounts. And I think that's head on the nail, because you know me, I'm an energy guy, I'm a vibes guy, and like, forgive me, but here's a little piece of anecdotal fun, if you will. One of we've talked about Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V.
Yep.
And I really enjoy him as a what do you call him, a personality, but also as a business entrepreneur. But he talks about having a goal that's like unreachable, reachable within reason, but for the most part, it's just for the fun of trying, right?
Right.
And his is buying the New York Jets. Mine is Blockbusters. If I ever had an opportunity to, I would buy Blockbusters and I'd restore it to its glory with retail locations, because the nostalgia of that feeling is something that I will never get to share with my grandkids.
Oh,
and it's something that has stuck with me since I was a kid.
Yeah.
There was nothing better than waking up knowing that after school on a Friday night, you were going to Blockbusters, or pick your rental store, insert here, whatever. But for me, it was Blockbusters.
Yeah.
And you got to go and you get to pick out a movie, maybe two, because holy smokes, mom's being super nice today.
Yep.
And then you might get a candy bar and popcorn too. And if you were really good, you might get a video game.
Yep. Oh man!
Like,
and then you walk in and it's the new release wall, and you're like, "What? Back to the Future 2 is out? I didn't even know it was out on VHS yet." Oh yeah, I remember those days.
Yep.
I can smell the inside of a Blockbuster right now inside my head.
Right? And that's what we're talking about here. It's that feeling that customers get when they walk into your store, and that's why it's also on my notes, which I think I'll point it out right now, is something that I thought was important was make your store smell, sound, and feel like the holidays, because sensory details matter. And as I'm thinking about it, I think your comment towards the smell of block oil, that was perfect, because you're absolutely right. I smell popcorn and videos, which I don't know why videos have a smell.
I know, but they do. There's something. It's plastic or
Totally.
whatever. I don't know. But yes, the boxes where like the one side was practically impossible to close. Yeah, for sure.
Yep. So yeah, no, that's for me. That is, I think that is a head on the nail, because that feeling that you get, it will trump anything else. And I mean, that's the user experience that you want. Like when you talk about like how do you wow your customers, that's how you wow your customers.
Yeah.
You provide an environment to where when they walk in, they feel a way in which no other store has made them feel, and they remember that, and they will tell their friends about that. They'll bring their family back to you because of that.
That's right.
Because they want those people to have those experiences too. So I think that was a really good call out.
Why, thank you. It was inspired by this really smart guy that I know. You know, well, I guess I'm kind of stealing the next one, which is the community
Yeah, let's talk about
aspect. There is such a desire especially among the younger cohort. So let's call it, you know, the 25 to 39 crowd in particular. That's not the only group, but you know, that younger cohort that is really looking for community as a product, where engaging in, you know, weekly pint night runs or volunteering with a different local organization and tying that back into some kind of running event, something along those lines, a group that they can connect with that is both part of a brand like a running store and also something that they can tie their own identity into. That is a massive desire. And the you know, shopping local concept is not only, I guess people still say cool, but I guess it's not only 6'7", but it's also I don't think that's cool either. No, anyway, it's not only like a really, really great thing, but it ties into that community component as well. Those things are tangibly valuable to people, and remembering that and offering that up. You know, I think, and you know, Dave up at Haddonfield, South Jersey, they partner with restaurant/bar nearby, and they do, you know, a combo sales and events and things like that. I know that Palmetto Running Company does some stuff with coffee and their own roasting and that kind of thing, but partnering with another local company doing like food trucks and a run, you know, any kind of situation where you're touting the value of the community.
You know, it was a really fun one that I got from a retailer. Actually, she's a retailer of ours, but I'm sure she's been doing this long before she was with us. But she does every year community runs where she'll pair her loyalty program with like QR codes on a specific route, and then they'll go on and then it's like a scavenger hunt, a holiday scavenger hunt, and the goal is to go on a run and find these QR codes. And you scan them, you check into the event, and you can earn like points that way. And so I thought that was like a really interesting way to like get the community involved I mean, a few things are accomplished in that scenario. One, you're encouraging them to join your community. You're
Yeah.
going on a run together. That's already great. Two, you're rewarding them for something they're already doing anyway, which is fantastic. I like free rewards.
Yep.
And on top of that, it's when I kind of step back to it, it's like beyond like just promoting the community. You maybe like selfish plug type scenario where you're like, you already got them at your store now.
That's
Right?
right.
Like
Yeah.
the ending location gets everyone there, and now you invite them in, and it just continues to progress that relationship. And
Yeah.
but I thought that was a unique way to do it. I hadn't ever seen that before. So like a scavenger hunt type thing was very unique, and I like that.
I love the scavenger hunt thing, and I love the fact that you can, with the right use of technology, you can create that scavenger hunt on demand anywhere, and be able to give them a pathway into the front door of your store, whether that is the physical or the virtual front door of your store. Yeah. Such a cool idea from a community perspective. And then there's obviously the amplification aspect as well. And in remembering what various platforms various platforms are speaking to. For example, if you're creating YouTube videos where you're doing product reviews, or where you're talking about certain experiences in the area, a run on a specific trail, for example, something along those lines, then the likelihood that you could the likelihood that you could engage with somebody who has never heard of you before, and is just stumbling upon your content because of whatever it is that you're saying is far higher than, say, your Instagram feed, where in that situation, most of the time with your Instagram feed, you're typically speaking to an audience who knows who you are and has some degree of history with you, such that they at least know what you got going on, and are engaging from that perspective, and remembering that those are speaking to those kind of separate groups of people, for example. Because I think it's easy to forget that if I'm doing social selling, in many cases that social selling is happening to a group of people who already know I exist, less likely to a group of people who haven't heard from me or heard of me before. But I won't go down that rabbit hole and torture everybody to death with my social selling nonsense. Because, like Gary Vee with the Jets and you with the Blockbuster, my personal professional goal is to complete a sentence in less than 10 seconds. And I've never come close.
Goals, though, right? Goals. Oh, man.
Oh, man.
Well, darn. It's already coming up to the end of the podcast. We don't get enough time with everyone. We only get the 2 episodes a month, and
I know.
it's not enough time, it feels like.
I know. And I always feel like we miss something when I go back and I'm like, oh, we forgot to talk about the blah, blah, blah. But if we scripted it, then it would be lame.
Right.
So,
well, this is just the first, I think, of a few different episodes we'll have around the holiday seasons for different things. One of the things I kind of wanted to kind of close here with is just a recap of kind of what we've talked about. Kind of set some expectations, since we're talking about expectation setting, and then
I didn't zoom in. I can't believe that.
And then we'll give everybody back their day, and But I mean, on our side, essentially the whole point of this episode today was just to start the conversation around, what are ways that we could think about the holidays differently. We touched upon stop thinking like a discounter and more like a trusted guide. I really like that phrase, a trusted guide,
I do.
because it really does kind of just sum it all up, and there's really no extra need for an explanation there.
Yep.
We talked about the online presence and how it's important to make that experience feel as human and personal, just as human and personal as it is in store. We also talked about the use of the holidays to deepen relationships, and I called that out specifically because we talked about earning trust, and trust isn't built just in the transactions. Obviously, there's trust built in transactions, quite literally, but
Right.
it's bigger, right? And then we also talked about specialty wins by consistency, and what we meant by that was, I think we talked about it in the beginning of the episode: story, service, and simplicity.
Yeah.
Keep it simple. Your customers, they're there, right? Like, you want to deepen those relationships, not just a number. And then the last thing that we kind of touched upon was those pillars, and where what we talked about can fit in specifically for those. On our side, we've decided that because we don't think that you've had enough to listen to us talk about, we're going to do what we think. I didn't know what we were going to call it until Rob just said something a minute ago. But I like bonus. I like bonus episodes. So every single month, on the first and third Friday of every month at 1 p.m. Eastern, we will have Specialty.Run podcast that talks about what we're doing here. On the bonus episodes, which would be the second and fourth Fridays at the same time, it may not be a live podcast, but it will be a video, and those are going to be more from the run-free perspective of how to do things. So those might be how to do them in the back end, show you how to set up promotions, different types of things that you can do to implement the things that we're talking about. And then, of course, if you're a viewer that is not a run-free retailer, then by all means, we want you to be, and we welcome you with open arms. So on our side, if this episode was helpful, and if it helped reframe how you're thinking about the holidays, we'd appreciate it if you'd hit the subscribe button. And if you want to, you can click the bell, which would allow you to get notifications when we post new episodes, which again, we do post new episodes of this podcast on the first and third Friday of every month at 1 p.m. Eastern. On our side, we really appreciate you guys listening, and as always, we're grateful for you.
We certainly are. Thank you, everyone.